Get on topic here. I want to talk to you today about self-sabotage and kind of starting with just defining it, talking about it, what it is, looking at it a little bit differently, and then using our practice today to focus on being present with self-sabotage. So, if we were to just define self-sabotage and what it is, it's knowing what is best for you and not doing it. So knowing what's best for myself, I'm going to start there. That can be a conversation, that can be a food choice, that can be an exercise, that can be a mindfulness practice, that can look like a lot of things, letting go of something, embracing something, and not doing it for myself. So I know I'm not alone in these behaviors. They are part of who we are as humans. They're part of our armoring, part of our defense mechanism when we feel vulnerable. So it can show up in big ways, it can show up in tiny ways. And what it does is it restrains us from growth, from authenticity, from wholeheartedness. So it stops us from those things, which are all very vulnerable, right? So showing up entirely as me, growth, wholeheartedness, loving fully, completely, either myself or others, is a vulnerable act. So we touched on this a little, we touched on an idea about this a little bit last week, but I want to bring it around again today. And the idea here is that self-sabotage is not who we are, it's something that we do. And it's a natural act that we do. There's nothing wrong with you. We all self-sabotage. It's a form of comforting. It's soothing. It's a way that we armor ourselves from vulnerability, which is a natural component of what our brain does to keep us safe. So their behaviors, they're not an identity. They help us feel in control when we are feeling out of control, which I think defines our world for many of us right now. It's a sense of feeling a little out of control. So mindfulness, bringing in mindfulness to what self-sabotage is. So first of all, it's not bad, it's natural, it's normal, it's just not very helpful to us when we want to get to something, when we have a goal, when we have a growth place that we want to get to. And so when we can be present with self-sabotage, we can begin to change our relationship with it. So mindfulness in relationship to self-sabotage is just the ability to witness the process within yourself. So without attachment to it around, this is who I am, this is how I show up in life, without judgment that this is bad or I should be ashamed of this thing. It's just the ability to witness it, the ability to observe it as an urge to block or to buffer feelings of boredom, feelings of vulnerability, feelings of anxiety. So we engage in self-sabotaging behaviors to avoid those feelings. And that comes to us in the feeling of just an urge to do something to not feel this discomfort. So what we're aiming for in a mindfulness practice is that we want to create a trained brain so that when that urge shows up, we have it in us. We already have this ability to witness it, to be present with it, to feel it and know that we're okay to feel it. That idea of metacognition, of acceptance, of curiosity. So here it is. How do I want to be with this? What does self-care look like? How can I support myself when the urge is present? That's what mindfulness allows us to do. And what we tend to do is not give ourselves that training. We tend to show up to that urge in the moment and expect us to already have a brain that can resist that urge. But that's not how we're designed. We've got to give ourselves this act of self-love, this act of training, this gift to ourselves of training our brain so that we can show up to that moment of urge. So in mindfulness, what we're doing is just I'm bringing my attention to this feeling on purpose. I'm present with it. I'm staying with it. And when my mind starts to get distracted by the messages of the urge or the just do this, it'll feel better, I can bring myself back to that urge. This is just an urge. I can feel this. It's safe to feel this. This is vulnerability, getting curious with it. So we're going to use our practice today to focus on that, to train our brain. That's what we're doing in mindfulness, is we're training our brain. So we're going to have longer moments of silence today than we normally do. Typically, I'm guiding you quite a bit in the process. Today, I'm going to give some moments of quietness so that your brain has the opportunity to get distracted, to feel the urge and move on to something shinier or busier or bigger or urgent. And I'm going to keep bringing your brain back to this moment. So with that, close your eyes or just take a soft gaze. Either way is appropriate and acceptable. Let's just take a moment to find our breath in our body. And then let's deepen that breath, lengthening the exhale. And again, inhaling and then taking a long, slow exhale through your lips as though you're exhaling through a straw. Just slowly. And again, one final time, inhaling through your nose, and then a long, slow exhale. And then return to your normal breathing. And as you do that, find an anchor in your body or in your mind, a place that you can return your attention to as your mind wanders. So it might be your breath. It might be a feeling, the feeling of your toes and your feet grounded into the earth. It might be a thought or a mantra. Find that anchor. If you're finding that you're having trouble choosing, just go to your breath. And our work in this practice is to stay with this. Whatever your anchor is, staying with it, noticing it, noticing the sensations and the feelings. And then quickly you'll find that your mind wanders. We move to the past, we move to the future, we worry, we plan. And as you catch your mind doing that, all your work is to notice it, no judgment, and just bringing your attention back to your anchor. That's the work. Settle in on your anchor. Notice if your mind has wandered and bring it back. It doesn't mean anything, there's no story attached. Our minds wander, and so we just bring it back over and over again. You may find that you want to strengthen your anchor. For example, if you are using your breath, you may decide to say in, out, or counting. 4 in, 6 out. These silent moments can be challenging for many, and also moments of beauty and strength and training and clarity. As we begin to close the practice, we're going to end in a little bit of a different way than we typically do, staying in the state that you're in. I'm going to ask you just to open your eyes and look around your space. And bring this presence, this feeling of calm, this feeling of intentionality into your space. Thank you. Thanks for joining this morning.